Before there was YouTube, there were home videos, and I've recently been going through some of my old home videos, some even way back when they were on a VHS camcorder, and some were just made with a digital camera. And I made a lot of videos many years ago to share with friends or just to record for my own personal use to look back on. And I found this video here today that I'm showing you, and I can't really play the background sounds to it because there's a lot of copyright music, and that's a whole nother issue that I have had some copyright warnings on the music I've used here on this channel. So I'm just not gonna play the sound that was on this original video. Just want to play it safe and not get in trouble with YouTube. But basically I came across this old video, and you can kind of see in this video, it's, it was made a long time ago. You can see I'm in an apartment, and probably what you're going to see is just a lot of clutter. But you're going to see a lot of my stuff seems to be in boxes. I'm sort of like just going through my stuff. I was in a transition period of where I was going to be moving. So for whatever reason, I seem to be trying on different clothes and shoes and seeing what stuff I should get rid of and what stuff I'm going to keep and move and pack up. And, I can look back at videos like this and think of, that was like such a different time in my life. I think even the clothes I'm wearing are just like, I worked in the corporate world back then, and I had kind of like a high executive position where you're kind of expected to wear business attire all the time and high heels. Of course, then I moved to Seattle, and everyone wears like hiking boots and camping gear to the office, and that's considered professional. Here in the Pacific Northwest, totally different than what I experienced when I was living in Arizona. So basically, I'm looking at this old footage, and I'm just kind of like seeing what I used to look like when I was younger, and just kind of seeing what I was going through. I think there's even a part of the video that you're gonna see where I've like, dumped out my purse, and I've got all this like random receipts and stuff all over the floor that I'm just going through all my stuff. And it's like when you look back at a certain time period in your life, I don't know if you can relate to this, but it just seems like sometimes certain time periods of your life can just seem like a whole lifetime ago, like how things were so much different then. And every time I try to say I want to do a video kind of talking about what led up to me moving to across country, what led it up to me living in my car, starting a new life, I feel like you see these old videos, and I look like a fairly happy person. I mean, I wasn't, but maybe it looks like I was in the video. I can definitely tell you at this point in time, I was in a relationship, and that relationship was going to be changing or moving, and we were going to move in together and start our life together. And the end of that story is we didn't. I mean, we did move in together, but we did not end up getting married and starting the life together. And I'm now, I don't know how old you think I am when you look at me, but I'm about to turn 50. I've never been married. And, obviously I could probably tell tales of woe of all my relationships that never quite worked out. Maybe that's because I have high standards. Maybe that's because I'm picky, or maybe that's because there's something wrong with me. But, whatever the case, things just didn't work out. So when I look at an old video like this, and I can look at, like, I was kind of on the edge of my life was about to come all together, and I was finally going to get my happily ever after, and that didn't work out. So I thought I would just do like kind of a voiceover here, kind of explaining why I'm posting this video. A lot of times I just kind of get in the mood and I want to do like story time and that sort of thing. But if for some reason this is your first time watching me, I can definitely say that a lot of the beginnings of my YouTube channel here were to talk about what life was like when I had kind of moved from one state to a new state, and how I was starting a new job, and I was finding a place to live, and kind of like all the transitions that people go through in life. And I think that's something a lot of people can relate to. Now, of course, there's a lot of like failures that happen to people in their life. You get laid off from a job. You get, maybe I've never been evicted, but there might be a situation where you lose your housing for one reason or another. And so there's just a lot of things, a lot of topics out there that I'm sure a lot of people can relate to when I'm talking about these things. But I can definitely say that going from kind of like this video that you're watching, like I always say, like, it was never like one day I just snapped my fingers and I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to go live in my car. I'm just going to become homeless or whatever. It wasn't like that. It was always like there was just this series of events that took place, from going from like a bad relationship or ending a relationship to trying to find somewhere to live. And then the place I found to live didn't work out. And, it's just like one thing after another, having a job that I absolutely hated, and then trying to find a new job that I actually would enjoy doing and that paid well. That's why I said it's just been a series of events, and that's what life is. Life is a series of events. And a lot of people, they have like this path that they follow. And, I'm in America, so, a lot of times people refer to the American dream. And I think a lot of people have this expectation. The American dream is, you graduate high school, you go to college, after college, you start a career, and somewhere in there, maybe people join the military and then they go to college, or maybe they get married and have a family, but basically the so-called American dream is once you've really made it and you've got the marriage and the family and the kids and the dog, and then you own your own house. And like, there's some people probably out there thinking, I will never own a house ever in my life. Even if I wanted to, I can never afford it. It's just not a dream that's achievable. And there's people that probably work really hard. They went to college, and then when they're done with college, like the jobs that they get, like they can barely scrape by or afford anything in life. And then there's people who never went to college and they're doing great and they're succeeding in life. And so it's all a real toss-up of what the American dream once was and what it is now. So, I just got into this mood today where I thought I would post this video. I do always try to keep things upbeat, but I'm also like one of those people that's like really realistic. I always hated when people have, they expect you to like always be positive. And it's like, well, being positive, like, isn't reality. And yeah, I always try to look at the bright side of things, but like, let's not be fake about it. Like, there's people struggling out there. And those are people that have probably worked really hard in life, have a really good education, and, have a great family, but they still struggle. And so it's not like there's like some magic trick or magic cure that if you just went to college, everything would be great. Or if you just, of course, owned your own house and got the top paying job at your company, everything would be great. Like, no, that's not how it works. There's more to it than that. So yeah, so you can see me kind of just fumbling around in this messy, cluttered apartment that I lived in, and just for whatever reason, I decided to film myself that day. You can see I'm doing a lot of talking, so you're probably wondering what I'm talking about, but I'm probably just like cracking jokes and being my usual self. But, so I just thought maybe you would enjoy watching this. If not, I totally understand. But this is just like a little slice of my life. Prior to, I can always look back to like, oh, this is when I had it all together. This is when I had the good job and I had my own place. But no, things changed from here. I had been in a long-term relationship with someone. I ended up moving in with them. That relationship didn't work out. And, and then there's more to the story, right? So then more stuff happened after that. And yeah. So so basically, I could just leave this. This is just me showing you more of me. And I hope you enjoyed. Always feel free to leave a comment and keep in touch. Thanks.